بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صدق الله العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وتاج المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله المتقين وصحابته المجاهدين ومن سار على نهجهم إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وتقى. اللهم ارزقنا إخلاص القول والعمل. Welcome everyone, inshallah ta'ala, to hopefully what is considered a majlis mubarak, a blessed majlis. Today we're going to talk about a very, inshallah ta'ala, something that is close to our hearts, the hearts of every Muslim, and that is just speaking about our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And we entered into the month of Rabi' al-Awwal. Actually, we're almost at the end of the month of Rabi' al-Awwal. Rabi' al-Awwal in the Hijri calendar, or in the Islamic calendar, is a time that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam was born, and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam also passed away. So it's a time for every Muslim to just recollect who our Prophet was, who this Prophet Muhammad bin Abdullah, a mercy to mankind, who he was and what he was all about, alayhi salatu wasalam. And look, in this majlis, if you do nothing except you send your salutations on your beloved Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, wallahi, there's nothing better than a majlis like this. So send your salutations, sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. The greatest blessings, the greatest blessing that we have, ya ikhwatil karam, brothers and sisters, is first and foremost, Allah Ta'ala blessed us with tawheed and iman and belief in Him. And secondly, Allah Azza wa Jal made us from the ummah of Nabiur Rahmah. He made us from the nation and the ummah of the Prophet of Mercy alayhi salatu wasalam. And wallahi, you cannot find a better description of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. You know, our Prophet, when it comes to all of his characteristics, all of his virtues, if you wanted to dissect every single one of them, I promise you can write an encyclopedia. I have one. It's 12 volumes long. That's who our Prophet ﷺ was. But if you wanted just one adjective, one characteristic that just encapsulates who this man was, Muhammad bin Abdullah alayhi salatu wasalam, kana rahiman. It was that he was a person of mercy. He was a person that was compassionate. He was a person that was kind, alayhi salatu wasalam. And wallahi, at a time like we're in now, where children are being starved, they're being massacred, they're being killed in Gaza, we can't help but to think, where are people's hearts? Where are people's mercy? Where is the mercy in their hearts these days? Subhanallah. How have people become so self-centered? How their hearts have become so hardened? They become so callous. Where is their mercy? And at a time like this, you can't help but to think how this world, Muslim, non-Muslim, every nation needs more of Muhammad bin Abdullah alayhi salatu wassalam. Let me tell you about our Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتحسس أدق تفاصيل الحزن في كل شيء من حوله. Our Prophet was an empath. Our Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام would be sensitive to everyone and every being around him when they suffered the slightest bit of distress. That's who he was. That was his nature. A narration mentioned that our Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام was once praying Salat al-Fajr, and the dawn prayer, the prayer that you pray early in the morning. It's a prayer that you generally elongate the prayer, like we all know. You elongate it with the longer surah, the longer chapters. Once our Prophet ﷺ, he made it short. He made it short, and he exited the prayer. A Sahabi, he goes up to our Prophet ﷺ, and he asks him, Ya Rasulullah, why did you make it short? Why did you make this prayer short? Our Prophet ﷺ, he says to him, سَمِعْتُ بُكَاءَ طِفْلٍ يُنْهَدِي أُمَّهُ بِبُكَائِهِ. I heard a nursing child crying for its mother. فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَرْحَمَهُ. And so I wanted to have mercy on this child. Subhanallah. Look at our Prophet ﷺ. Did not say, oh sister, who are you? Coming to the masjid at Salat al-Fajr at dawn time, bothering all the entire congregation. He didn't say that to this mother. He says, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَرْحَمَهُ. I wanted to have mercy on this nursing child. He didn't say, oh, look, sister, oh, look at this child. Now everybody had to miss the congregation, or people had to be late for the congregation because I had to make the surah short. That's not what he said. He says, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَرْحَمَهُ. I wanted to have mercy on this child. And the point that I want to direct you towards is the Sahabi. He goes and asks the Prophet ﷺ because he was confused. Why did the Prophet ﷺ shorten the prayer? It wasn't like a drastic storm that all of a sudden happened that everybody would understand, okay, that's why the Prophet shortened it. But we're just like the Sahabi. If we heard a child crying, it'd be white noise to us. It wouldn't make any difference to us. We were too dedicated perhaps in our prayers or in other things, right? But that cry of a child doesn't really touch our hearts. But to our Prophet, it touches his heart. He's sensitive. He's empathetic. He's in the middle of his prayer, praying to his Lord. Yet the crying of a child bothers him. That's who our Prophet ﷺ was. Our Prophet ﷺ, Sallu alayhi. Our Prophet ﷺ, he would see an animal being overburdened by the weight on it. And the adat of the Arab, the practice of the Arab, was that was normal. People used to go in and out of Mecca, right, with these camels or these donkeys or these horses overburdened. There's a ton of weight on their backs and it's normal. But our Prophet ﷺ was different. Even today, in certain parts of the world, if you travel, you'll find that animals are overburdened by the weight that they have on them. And everybody walks by it like it's normal. It's not a big deal. But that's not who our Prophet was. Though it was a practice of the people around him and the society around him. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يرتجف من أعماقه. It would make him quiver. He'd be sensitive to this. It bothered him. He couldn't take it. The narration of Abu Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He says that a group of Sahaba along with the Prophet ﷺ, they were traveling. And during their travels, the Sahaba are companions of our Prophet ﷺ. And these companions, they come across this bird. In English, or in Arabic, it's known as hummara. In English, it's known as a lark. And this bird doesn't perhaps exist where we live, right? It's more in arid and dry, desert-like areas. And so they find this bird, hummara, with two chicks with it. And subhanAllah, the Sahaba, who are companions, the Sahaba, they take these two chicks playfully, out of the kindness of their hearts, not out of dhulm and out of oppression. They take these two chicks and they start petting it. And they start playing with it. But our Prophet ﷺ, he's sensitive. He's an empath. He knows what that mother of those chicks is suffering through. مَنْ فَجَعَ هَذِهِ بِوَلَدِهَا. He says to the Sahaba sharply, he says, مَنْ فَجَعَ هَذِهِ بِوَلَدِهَا. Who's caused this bird distress? رُدُّ وَلَدَهَا إِلَيْهَا. Return the chicks to its mother. عَلَيْهِ أَفْضَلُ الصَّلَاةِ وَأَتَمُّ التَّسْلِيمِ. This person was a person of empathy, of kindness, of compassion, of mercy. And how true are the words of Allah Azza wa Jal, who says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We did not send you, Allah Ta'ala says this. He says, we did not send you except that you are a mercy to all the worlds. What does that mean, all the worlds? Meaning the Prophet ﷺ is a mercy to everyone and everything and all the worlds and all the universes, if they exist, if they don't exist, except to Allah. Alayhi afdalu salati wa atammu taslim. On the way back from the Battle of Badr, it was a huge triumph for the Muslims, for those who don't know. And for Muslims, of course, we know this, right? The Battle of Badr was a time when the Sahaba went out ill-equipped. They weren't actually intending to go for battle. And they only had about 300 or so men with them, and the opposing force had 1,000. And they come out victorious, to the point of which they were so honored that angels, as we believe angels from the sky descended to fight on the side of the Muslims. And subhanAllah, after this battle, of course, as you can imagine, every individual that fought, right, that was going to sacrifice their lives was proud. They were happy, elated at the fact that they just won, that they just defended Islam. They weren't just annihilated. And if this was the situation of the companions who partook in this battle, imagine the leader, right? Or imagine any other leader, how much they'd feel, how much of a sense of pride they'd feel. But not our Prophet. Not our Prophet ﷺ. And the Sahaba took note of this. On the way back from Badr to Medina, they stopped off to sleep. And our Prophet ﷺ could not sleep, he was restless. And the Sahaba, they go up to our Prophet ﷺ and they say to him, Ya Rasulullah, ma yushiruka ya Nabi Allah, ma yushiruka ya Nabi Allah. What is keeping you up? What is keeping you up, O Prophet of Allah? And he says, Aneenul Abbas. Aneenul Abbas, the moaning and the groaning of Al-Abbas, who was taken as a prisoner of war. And he had shackles. And he's crying and he's moaning and groaning because of that pain that he's enduring and suffering. فَذَهَبَ الصَّحَابَةُ وَأَرْخَوْا مِنْ قَيْدِ الْعَبَّاسِ لِيَنَامَ أَرْحَمُ النَّاسِ. And so the Sahaba and the companions, they go and they loosen the shackles so the most merciful of people is able to sleep. This is who our Prophet ﷺ was. Look, I want you guys to go home with one thing. If you don't take anything, go home a more merciful individual. Go home a more merciful person to everyone around you. This is who our Prophet was. Emulate him. Be a person of kindness and compassion and mercy. Take from this month mercy and extend that throughout the entirety of the year. Our Prophet ﷺ, once he stood on a pulpit and he says to the Sahaba, Irhamu turhamu, and by extension he speaks to us, you, MSA Stanford, 1400 years later. Don't think he's just talking about the Sahaba or talking to the Sahaba, he's talking to you as well. He says, Irhamu turhamu. Be merciful and mercy will be shown to you by Allah, by our Creator. On another occasion, our Prophet ﷺ, he says, Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-Rahman. The most merciful shows mercy to those who are merciful. The most merciful shows mercy to those who are merciful. The Prophet continues and he says, Irhamu ahli al-ardi yarhamukum man fi as-sama'. So be merciful to those who inhabit this earth. Your spouses, your children, the people around you, Muslim, non-Muslim, wallahi, people who harm you. Be merciful to the inhabitants of this world, the creatures, the animals. يَرْحَمُكُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ. And the one that is in the heavens will be merciful to you. That is what our deen teaches. And that is the way of our Prophet ﷺ. Don't be a person that chases people away. Don't be a person that people can't approach. Don't be a person that says, you know what, I suffered from way too much in my life. I don't have the empathy in me. I don't have the mercy in me to give it to other people. Find it. Find it in you. Because this is what it means to be a Muslim. This is what it means to emulate the character of our Prophet. This is what it means to be from the nation of Muhammad bin Abdullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Don't look at people and every time you deal with them, it's as if you're on a pedestal. Your spouse, your wife, your husband, your children, whether they're 12 years old, your patients, inshallah, maybe some of you guys are going to be, working in the healthcare field one day. Don't look at your patients and they come and they complain and they have no idea about their own body. Don't say, this guy has no idea. Or this person has no idea what they're talking about. Have the mercy in you to look at them with kindness and compassion. Look at our Prophet ﷺ. No matter how much he grew in dominion, in power, especially at the later time in his life, the most beautiful thing about this man is that he always remained a person of mercy. That always remained. That was his characteristic, alayhi salatu wasalam. Even after the conquest of Mecca. Look, the Prophet ﷺ, for those who don't know, he was kicked out of Mecca. He went to Al-Madinah. After years, he comes back to conquest Mecca. And even after this conquest, right now he has dominion, now he has power. To the point of which if he ordered the Sahaba and the companions to do something, they would not think twice. He always remained as a person of mercy. After the conquest of Mecca, after the battle of Ta'if, after the battle of Hunayn, even the Muslims at this point felt a sense of pride. Oh, we have numbers now. We have numbers. And Allah Ta'ala speaks about their pride and they got a little bit too prideful when it comes to their numbers. But our Prophet remained a person of mercy. After these incidents took place, the Ansar were people who were specifically the people of Al-Madinah who welcomed the Prophet ﷺ, who safeguarded him, who were with the Prophet ﷺ through thick and thin when he arrived in Al-Madinah. These same Ansar, they come to our Prophet ﷺ, or they go to Sa'd ibn Ubadah radiallahu anhu, and Sa'd ibn Ubadah, he acts like a representative to these group of individuals, these Ansar. Sa'd ibn Ubadah, he goes to our Prophet ﷺ and he says the Ansar have a grievance in their heart. And they feel like the spoils of war have not been distributed fairly. Look at how Prophet ﷺ reacts. He doesn't say to Sa'd ibn Ubadah, go tell these Ansar. Who do they think they are? Questioning me, I am the Prophet of Allah. He doesn't say that. Don't they know my makana and my status? He doesn't say that. He tries to empathize with them, come on the same level as them. That's who he was. He says, bring the Ansar. Oh Sa'd, bring the Ansar. And the Ansar, they come to our Prophet ﷺ, and I promise you, if the Prophet ﷺ, it wasn't already established that he was a person of mercy, they wouldn't come to him. But they came. And the Prophet ﷺ, he speaks to them with compassion, with mercy. He says, Ya ma'shar al-Ansar, maqalatun balagatni ankum. O people of the Ansar, what you have to say, that grievance in you, I have heard about it. وَجِدَةٌ وَجَدْتُمُوهَا عَلَيَّ فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ, that grievance against me that you have in yourselves. He says, أَلَمْ آتِكُمْ ضُلَّالٍ فَهَدَاكُمُ اللَّهِ. Did I not come to you and you were misguided, and Allah Ta'ala as a result guided you? وَعَالَةٌ فَأَغْنَاكُمُ اللَّهِ, and you were poor and meager, and Allah Ta'ala raised you and granted you wealth. وَأَعْدَاءٌ فَأَلَّفَ اللَّهُ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ, and you were enemies, and the people of Medina were enemies for years. Al-Aws and Al-Khazraj were fighting for years. You were enemies, and Allah Ta'ala guided you. فَأَلَّفَ اللَّهُ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. And the Ansar, the same ones with the grievance in their hearts, they say, Bala ya Rasulullah. Yes. But they engage with our Prophet. Look, as I said, if the Prophet wasn't already established as an individual mercy, they'd say, you know what, that's all, let's head out of here. But that's not what they said. They were able to approach our Prophet ﷺ. They were able to express themselves. And they said to our Prophet ﷺ, أَتَيْتَنَا مُكَذَّبًا فَصَدَّقْنَاكَ. O Prophet of Allah, you came to us and you were called a liar and we believed in you. وَمَخْذُولًا فَنَصَرْنَاكَ. And you were ridiculed. You were ridiculed and we helped you. وَطَرِيدًا فَآوَيْنَاكَ. And you were kicked out and you found refuge and safety in us. وَعَائِلًا فَأَسَيْنَاكَ. And you were poor and meager and destitute, and we helped you with our wealth. Not once did the Prophet ﷺ say, how dare you speak to me like that? Not once did he say, you're lucky Allah Ta'ala used you to help His deen and to help me. No, that's not what our Prophet ﷺ says. He honors them. He speaks to them with a sense of mercy and empathy. He says, are you not pleased that these people, you're complaining about the spoils of war? And of course the Prophet ﷺ is doing what he does by the order of Allah Ta'ala. He says, are you not pleased that these people, they walk away with their sheep and they walk away with their camels, meaning they walk away with their dunya and worldly matters and worldly goods. وَتَرْجِعُوا بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ إِلَى رِحَالِكُمْ. But you go back to Al-Madinah with your Prophet. They thought, the Prophet's going to forget about us now that he's in Mecca, he's back. وَتَرْجِعُوا بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ إِلَى رِحَالِكُمْ. But you go back to Al-Madinah with your Prophet. Look at how he honors them. They come with a grievance, yet the Prophet honors them. He goes on to say, وَلَوْلَا الْهِجْرَةُ لَكُنْتُ امْرَأً مِنَ الْأَنصَارِ. If it wasn't because of the migration and me having to have grown up in Mecca and then come all the way to Al-Madinah, if I could have chosen where I could have grown up, with whom I could have grown up, I would have chosen you, O Ansar. وَلَوْ سَلَكَ النَّاسُ شِعْبًا. And if all the people in the world, all the nations, all the tribes, they were to go through one alleyway, one pathway, وَسَلَكَتِ الْأَنصَارُ شِعْبًا. And the Ansar, they chose a specific alleyway, just the Ansar. لَسَلَكْتُ شِعْبَ الْأَنصَارِ. I would have chosen the pathway of the Ansar. The narration mentions that the Ansar, they cried and cried and cried when they heard this from our Prophet. And who wouldn't when a person shows you so much mercy and kindness? They cried, and the narration mentioned they cried so much till their beards became wet. And they say to our Prophet ﷺ, أَرَضِينَا بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ قَسْمًا وَحَظًّا. We're pleased with our Prophet. We're pleased with our Prophet ﷺ. Brothers and sisters, Muslims, non-Muslims, closen your character to his. Emulate your Prophet ﷺ. Show mercy like the way he did. This is who our Prophet is all about. This is why he was sent to this earth, to be a mercy. Be like your Prophet ﷺ. Sometimes it's not about if you're right or wrong. It's not about if you're right or wrong all the time. It's about showing mercy. It's about showing mercy to the people around you. Don't look at people who are homeless and say, you know what, this person put themselves in that situation. That's not what our Prophet would do. Our Prophet would look at people who are homeless with mercy. Alayhi salatu wasalam. Don't look at that person suffering from addiction and say, you know what, they deserve that. They put themselves in that situation. That's not what our Prophet would do. He'd look at them with a sense of mercy. Look at the people around you, your patients, your children, your wives, the people that you work with. Look at them with a sense of mercy. Show mercy to others the way that he did. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make us more merciful. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make us true people who emulate his character and his way. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to allow us to continue to tread on his path, the path that is munawwar, the path that is lightened. And we ask Ya Allah Ta'ala to raise us with our beloved Prophet Muhammad bin Abdullah alayhi salatu wasalam on Yawm al-Qiyamah. We end inshaAllah Ta'ala with a short dua. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ya Allah, we ask Ya Rabbana Ta'ala for righteousness, for good character. Ya Allah Ta'ala, we ask you to be better to our parents, be better to our children, be better to our siblings, be better to our co-workers and the people that we work with and the people that we go to school with and we educate ourselves with. Ya Allah Ta'ala, we ask you to allow us to come out of this majlis, of this event, Ya Rabbana Ta'ala, as better people, people of better character, people who are good to one another. We ask Ya Allah Ta'ala, Allahumma anta hassanta khalqana fahassin khuluqana Ya Rabbana. Allahumma Ya Allah, Allahumma Ya Allah, allow us to meet our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in the hereafter, enter into paradise with him, Ya Allah, and his companions. And we ask Ya Allah Ta'ala to save us and protect us from ever even coming close to the hellfire. And we ask Ya Allah Ta'ala to absolve us for all of our sins. Ya Allah Ta'ala, allow for these sins to never come into our account. Ya Allah Ta'ala, though you will always know of the sins that we committed against you. We ask you, Ya Allah Ta'ala, to allow us to never even know about them when we meet you, Ya Allah. Allow it to never even come to our minds when we meet you, Ya Allah, as we are shameful to commit sins against you, Ya Allah. But you are the most merciful, Ya Allah Ta'ala. So forgive us, Ya Allah. Show us your mercy, Ya Allah. And your mercy is greater than your wrath. So show us your mercy. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
تكبير الله أكبر تكبير الله أكبر
استغفر الله العظيم وأتوب إليه. إياك. استغفر الله العظيم لا أتوب إليه. استغفر الله العظيم وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. استغفر الله العظيم لا إله إلا هو.